we touched on empathy, we touched, grace, vulnerability, and all that before. What are your thoughts on empathy, grace, and vulnerability, and how we can use them to better our daily lives, to deal with stress and the world that we're in?
Yeah, I think that grace and grit and empathy is so key to living a life of joy and harmony. So, for myself, in order to get myself better, one of the things I had to learn, and it's still a lesson, is that I meditate. And it's very hard for me to be still and in my body and deep breathe and meditate. But that it's so important it's a way to really check in with your body and your thoughts and your feelings, like what is really going on, that we can get so distracted up in the course of the day with everything that's happening. But I just feel if we don't have empathy for each other, we're never gonna survive this, what we're facing. How do we more have empathy for what people are going through? Like in my book, I don't fault Muhammad Atta. I try to understand him.
Mm-hmm.
And there's if you want to listen and make the time to listen, there's always a reason for why someone has killed someone, raped someone, shot someone. It doesn't excuse the behavior, but there's always a reason behind it. And in my mind, you have to understand those things if you want to even begin to have a chance to change it.
Yeah. I think when it comes to empathy too, what I found is I really struggled for a long time with having empathy for myself. And it was it takes a while to get there, right? Like you just all of a sudden don't wake up one day and have empathy for the world, and especially people you fundamentally disagree with, to find out their why. Once I understand a person's why, where I go, you know what, it makes sense why they believe the way they do. I don't worry. I'm not trying to change them. It's like, okay, I understand you and I can feel you. But it really it opened the door to where, wow, I'm, understanding everybody else. And I'm like, okay, I understand why you're doing this. Maybe I need to practice that with myself. And that was, I think it's been a big part of my healing process.
I absolutely agree. I think I continued to learn how to have empathy for myself. I'm tough and hardest on myself, and it's you really have to have empathy first for yourself, I think, to heal. And I think in our Western society, so many of us are taught, not to have any empathy for ourselves, not to be in our bodies, not to process our feelings, that if we're doing that, we're sissies or we're victims or we're self-involved. And actually, it's the opposite, that we need to have empathy first for ourselves, really to have empathy for anyone else. And I think it's instrumental to healing, is how can we love and have empathy for ourselves.
Yeah. You had mentioned too, earlier, and about being in touch with the universe and the spiritual. And I'm very, again, this goes, and a lot of people, unless they experienced it, or they experience it, they don't, it seems ethereal. It seems, again, very woo. But I used to meditate, and then I stopped practicing it. And it was what I did to early on with my post-traumatic stress. I got into meditation. I was really good at it for a while. I stopped practicing it, and now it's very difficult. But what I found is going out and grounding in nature. Every morning I get up, first thing I do is walk out barefoot, and I stand outside barefoot, and I get in with nature as much as I can where I'm living. And I feel that energy more, and and that interconnectedness. I tell people, I'm like, we're all energy. I mean, our cells are held together by energy, and I still haven't read an explanation that satisfies. I don't know, maybe is it a conspiracy side of my brain? I don't know, where I'm like, how do our cells stay together? These little fragile things, when you flick your hand, they don't go flying off. I'm like, they stay together by energy, right? And so trees, everything has energy. And I feel that that interconnectedness there and all that. And I found that also really helps too, to go out and touch on that.
Absolutely. For me, nature in particular is and has been so healing. So I will run on this beautiful trail in Nyack that to me is so healing. And if I'm struggling with what to say with the patient or an insight or a word that I'm trying to find in my writing when I wrote my book or with my writing now, it always comes to me when I'm in nature, without fail, that it's this running meditation, and that somehow nature and trees and dirt and the beauty of nature is so healing. I had this encounter with a wild gray whale, and it's in my book, which,
Yes.
yeah, which was so healing. And it was kind of marked from 2005 to 2012 when I had an encounter with this whale. It marked the culmination of all of my spiritual knowledge and work, but it just solidified it. And this whale's eye. So basically, I was paddleboard surfing for the first time in Laguna Beach, California.
Uh-huh.
And I had taken a lesson with this nature photographer who had a camera. And the ocean was like a glass. There was hardly a ripple, much less a wave. And I took really quickly to the paddleboard. We went really far out. And when we were coming back, this magnificent pregnant gray whale that was migrating down to Baja, California to deliver her baby, came up to me 15 feet, spy hopped me, which is when a whale vertically comes up out of the water. 2/3 of her body came up out of the water, and I literally had eye contact with her from when she came up out of the water all the way up, towering above me. And her left eye just held and contained me like no other. She taught me in an instant how to listen, feel, and think in a new way. She provided this inner corrective emotional experience for me. I really believe that I had beckoned her and she had beckoned me. My instructor said how lucky I was that that never happens, that it's really rare that wild gray whales will come up and spy hop someone. And I knew it had nothing to do with luck, that we had beckoned each other and that she was my mystical mother and I had lived past lifetimes with her. I know it sounds really far-fetched. My family roll their eyes, but she was my mystical mother, and she loved me and recognized me. She told me, I don't need to keep myself small. When you're big, you don't have to play it. You are it. You know, gray whales don't have teeth like orcas. They have balines, which is like fingernail consistency. And that here was this nurturing, womb-like, fatty presence who she rocked my world. Like, she changed my world. It literally lasted seconds. She came up again, 30 feet to me, and spy hopped me again. And my instructor was about 50 feet to the side of us, and he missed on his camera her spy hopping me. He got on the camera her footprint in the water, and I believe because she didn't want it to be photographed. It was just the most magnificent moment. I mean, this whale's eyes was the most wise, intelligent being I've ever been around, and it was unbelievable. I think it was the most beautiful moment of my life. And actually, I went down to Baja, California to try to look for her. There's these adventures down there where many gray whales will come up to you. I kissed like 8 gray whales. And I was looking, I call her Molly, and I didn't find her, but often I will soothe myself and I will meditate just visualizing the incredible beauty and wisdom of her eyes, with her left eye. And it was just so reaffirming on so many levels. I was born legally blind in my right eye, so I primarily use unifocal vision to see, and most people see bifocally, but whales use unifocal vision because their eyes are on either side of their skull. Mm-hmm. And I felt like she was saying to me, I felt defective about that growing up, that I was legally blind in one eye. And I think my mother in particular felt that way, that I was defective in some way, or that she was ashamed of me, or that she felt ashamed herself. And I felt like it was this reaffirming loving message that it's perfectly normal to have unifocal vision. That, she just had this ability to come up to me and not startle me. They also talk about the 10-foot barrier, where if you're within 10 feet of a whale, it's too overwhelming. And I wasn't overwhelmed at all. I was like gobsmacked when she came up to me, and I simply froze. And it was just an amazing experience. And just thinking about her eye when I'm anxious or I'm struggling, it really does quiet me down quite a bit.
That's amazing. That's a great story. It's I think everybody can admit that the universe, the world, whatever we want to label it, works in mysterious ways. I believe that, that's a saying that's out there, right? That's what people say. And I think that people need to be in tune for the unique experiences that impact their lives and make their lives better.